Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to MoonKast Radio. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, women and gentle germs. This is the one and only Griffin G. Child, and I'm here today with another exciting edition of the MoonKast. This is episode number 13. And we do have some breaking news for you today. We're going to talk about the NBA Finals. We're going to talk about the matchups. And we're also going to talk about a little bit of NBA news. All right, so we do have breaking news. The breaking news, we have some good news first, and then we'll give you the bad news. So we're going to start off with the good news first. The good news is the MoonKast is now available on SoundCloud. That's right. For those who do not know what SoundCloud is a radio podcast app which allows you to stream audio. And so you can download this app from the Android Google Play Store. If you have an Android phone like a Samsung Galaxy, ZTE, an LG, those are all Android devices. You can download this app from the Google Play Store and you can stream it easier instead of pulling it up on YouTube. You can also download this app from the Apple or iTunes store, whatever store you use on your Apple device, whether it's iPad or iPhone. So iPad, iPhone, tablet, Samsung Galaxy, LG, Alcatel, any brand that you have, you can download the SoundCloud app. You can also, you're going to do a search. So you're going to search for MoonKast and you're going to follow me there. So you're going to search for MoonKast. That's MoonKast. You can find the MoonKast on the SoundCloud app. Listen to it, enjoy it. It's easier to stream, so I'm moving up in the world. Once again, the MoonKast is now available on the SoundCloud app. A little bit of bad news, but not that bad. But I'm going to push back Moonbase Chronicles. The double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Child, will be released July 7th, 2016. I was pushing for June 7th, 2016, but I have to push it back. There's a lot of things going on where I need a little bit more time to get that done. So once again, Moonbase Chronicles, the double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Child, is going to be released July 7th, 2016. So 7/7/16. So for all those who have been waiting for that project, it's going to be one more month. So I'm glad you decided to join in today. Like I said, we want to talk some NBA Finals news. As we speak, today's date is June 2nd, 2016. Game 1 of the NBA Finals is actually being played right now. This is the rematch. This is the remix. The Cleveland Cavaliers are taking on the Golden State Warriors right now. I'm going to give you a final update as well as some analysis on that game as it completes. The game is not complete yet. So, like I said, once again, I'm excited that you're here today. Today's show will be a little short and brief. I'm going to talk more NBA basketball next week. I'm looking for June 15th, but it may get pushed back to closer to the 20th. But I will keep you posted and let you know. I do want to cover the NBA draft. I'm studying players right now, and I'm going over the players who are coming out in the first round so I can give you a better analysis of where guys are projected to be slotted and where guys are projected to go. So be on the lookout. Minimum is June 15th, but it's probably going to be a little bit later than that. If you missed out, last week's podcast was a very good podcast. It was an explosive podcast. I talked about guys coming out of high school. I talked about the phenomenal book Boys Among Men, written by Jonathan Abrams. This was a fantastic book, a great book. And I basically spoke about, the book talks about Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Dwight Howard. Those are some of your more famous guys to come out of high school and go pro. It talks about the guys that didn't make it. And so it's a very phenomenal book. If you remember, I talked about the National Development League. And I also was able to read another very interesting article. Let me pull that up for you real quick, actually. I was able to read an article from a great writer. He actually responded to me on Twitter. So let me see if I can pull that up real quick. The person who wrote the article, his name is Chris Reichert. So that's his first name is Chris, C-H-R-I-S. Last name is Reichert, which is R-E-I-C-H-E-R-T. So his Twitter handle is @Chris_Reichert. I believe that's how you pronounce it. He wrote a fantastic article on the National Development League. So I'm going to talk a little bit about his article. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. And we're going to talk a little bit about the current finals and what I'm seeing. And a little bit of NBA news sprinkled in there as well. So, like I said, I'm glad you guys decided to join today. By the time you hear this, it may be June 3rd, 2016. Once again, the MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moon-Based Chronicles, the double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Child. Release date, July 7th, 2016. So please stay tuned for that. I'm going to be right back with you. We're going to take a pause. We are going to take a pause for a station identification, and I will be back with you shortly. Thank you for listening. The MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moon-Based Chronicles, the double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Child. New release date, July 7th, 2016. Once again, Moon-Based Chronicles. New release date, July 7th, 2016. Also, you can now download the MoonKast from SoundCloud. Please use the SoundCloud app. You can download that app from the Apple Store on your iPhones, iPads, and also go to the Google Play Store on your Android phones and tablets. Search for MoonKast, MoonKast. Once again, MoonKast. Search for it. The MoonKast, now available on SoundCloud. And now, back to the show. Once again, I am back. The MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moon-Based Chronicles, the double album of yours truly, Griffin G. Child. Release date has been pushed back. All right. So, just getting right back with you. The game has just went final between the Golden State Warriors and Cleveland Cavaliers. The Golden State Warriors put the beat down on Cleveland, 104-89. I'm going to get into what I saw in that game toward the end of the podcast. I'm going to talk about a few other things first, but once again, the score 104-89. As you're hearing this, the game's probably going to be already over anyway, but just putting that score out there. And so we're going to get into that a little bit later. But what I want to talk about first, we're going to talk about a potential trade between the Atlanta Hawks and the Philadelphia 76ers. Right now, the big trade that is on the table right now, the projected rumor is Jeff Teague of the Atlanta Hawks going to Philadelphia for Nerlens Noel. The thinking in Philadelphia is they have a lot of big bodies. They have a lot of front court players. Nerlens Noel, Jahlil Okafor, Joel Embiid. I'm hearing, Nerlens Noel and Jahlil Okafor can't play together. You got Joel Embiid, who's supposed to make his debut this season. But I'm going to go ahead and come out and say, when I first heard rumors of this trade, I was all for it. I was really into making this trade, but I'm going to have to backtrack on that now. Jeff Teague, I believe this is a contract year for him, so he is coming up on a new contract. So he will be a free agent next summer. So in my opinion, on one hand, I would not do the trade unless he was set to sign an extension, because you will lose Nerlens Noel for nothing. On the flip side of that, I would just wait. I would wait till February and then make a deal. Now, of course, Philadelphia does need a point guard. But as I said, in my opinion, I would rather wait until around February and see how things are going. If Philadelphia decides to draft Ben Simmons, or if they decide to draft Brandon Ingram. Personally, I would go after Mike Conley. He is a free agent. They may have to overpay to get him, but I would go after Mike Conley first. And if you can't get Mike Conley, I would just sit out another year and wait till next summer to go for a point guard. There's also rumors of Philadelphia trading Jahlil Okafor for the third pick in the draft, which is owned by the Boston Celtics. And I'm hearing they may be interested in Jamal Murray or Chris Dunn. Once again, I would wait till around February. I'll wait and see how the team looks with Okafor and whoever they decide to draft. I am a Ben Simmons fan. I believe that his jumper or his jump shot is better than what people are saying that it is. And I would not trade Jahlil Okafor at all. I know they keep saying the game is changing, but what I'd like to see is a team that can control the tempo. And a team that can control the tempo, to me, I believe that's going to be the key to having a big man. A lot of big men aren't skilled enough to do two things. So he is a good and can be a great offensive scorer. Now, of course, he has the defensive lapses, but he's a 20-year-old. Now, of course, I hear that guys at that age guys that come to the NBA that aren't good defensive players just aren't able to pick it up on that end. But he looks to be a solid 23 points and 10 rebound guy, averaging those numbers. So I would not trade a center that can do that. What I would do is I would surround him with shooters. And when you surround him with shooters, it will keep the defense honest. So that's what I would like to do. Once again, Nerlens Noel is very active. He's an Energizer bunny. He has very good defensive instincts. I don't understand how a player that is 21 years old, why can't this player develop a jump shot? I know Nerlens Noel can't shoot, but what's stopping him from getting a jumper? So I'm not quite seeing that. So I wouldn't trade any front court player until February. I want to see what Joel Embiid can do. And I do feel like Philadelphia needs a 8-man rotation. They need to have a solid rotation. So I would keep all three bigs, and I would have a solid rotation. Now, of course, like I said, if they can't play together, they can't play together. But you're talking about 19 and 20-year-olds. So I don't see why you would not have the patience to see if these guys will develop jump shots. Furthermore, I don't think there is any team in the Eastern Conference that can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in the foreseeable future. So if I'm an Eastern Conference team, my thing is, I know a lot of people don't like it when you call other players and they call it collusion, when guys call each other and get together like LeBron did in Miami, but I don't have a problem with that. I think in order to beat LeBron, it takes a super team to beat LeBron, as Golden State has right now. Now, Golden State had the right management that was able to draft Stephen Curry, able to draft Klay Thompson. They drafted Harrison Barnes. They drafted Draymond Green, and they traded Monty Ellis for Andrew Bogut. So this is a team that is smart management-wise, that drafted the right players that fit together perfectly. And you haven't really seen a team draft those kind of players in that way in a long time. So I think you look at OKC, that's a team that's drafted very well. Even going back to the Chicago Bulls, drafting Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, B.J. Armstrong, Stacey King, and trading for Bill Cartwright and bringing in John Paxson. So you haven't really seen a team in a while that has been able to construct and put together the right pieces to fit perfectly as Golden State has done. So getting back to my topic here, I think if you're in the Eastern Conference, you want to build a team that can contend in 3 to 5 years from now. I think unless you have 2 to 3 superstars on the same team in the Eastern Conference, you're not going to be able to beat LeBron James. And so I think Philadelphia is on the right track. If they cannot attract superstars, I think they should just continue on the path and drafting players. There's going to be 2 to 3 players coming out in next year's draft that I will mention after this year's draft. There's a couple guys that Philadelphia could use next year. So I wouldn't jump the gun if I was Philadelphia to make it for an 8th seed and be mediocre, because you're not going to beat LeBron that way. You can only beat LeBron with superstars. You cannot beat LeBron with marginal role players that play above their means that can get you 40 wins, 45 wins. The only way you can beat LeBron is you have to beat LeBron with a team that can get 60 or more wins, thus meaning that team has superstars. Atlanta Hawks had 60 wins last year and still can't beat LeBron because they do not have the superstars. So to me, people are going to laugh, but Philadelphia, in my opinion, is actually on the right track to be a juggernaut. And you heard it here first. June 12, 2016. Philadelphia can be a juggernaut if they can draft the right players and let those guys develop. So you already have Okafor, you have Noel, you have Embiid. Let all 3 of them play first. I would not trade any one of them unless you can get a bona fide star player or really good draft pick. Like, I would not just trade Okafor for the 3rd pick from Boston. I would need a few more players from Boston, because you're trading a guy that could potentially be a 25-10 guy as a big man. I would not just trade him for one single draft pick. I would not do that. So I'm a big Okafor fan. I do like Karl Anthony Towns a slight bit more, but I love to see a big man who he can throw the ball into. He can go to work off the block. I think that is beautiful. And so I think the key for Philadelphia is going to be adding shooters. And so you can get shooters in the draft. There should be some nice shooters coming up. So right now I'm still doing my homework and my research, and I will be letting you guys know about who the shooters are. They already have Nick Stauskas. Hopefully he can work on his game and become a good shooter. Robert Covington, I think he could be a really good rotational piece. I think if you could get Ben Simmons in there and just let those guys run, and then you could bring Covington and Nerlens Noel off the bench and with Embiid. So you want to develop a 8 to 9 man rotation. So if I was Philadelphia, I would not trade for Jeff Teague right now. I would just wait till next summer and get Jeff Teague. If you trade Nerlens and you don't have a guaranteed extension lined up with Jeff Teague, that's going to be bad news right there. So I just wanted to talk about that trade. In coaching news, Jeff Hornacek, his deal has been made official. He signed a 3-year coaching deal with the New York Knicks after being let go from the Phoenix Suns, which I do not believe it was his fault for him being let go. I don't think he did anything wrong to get let go from Phoenix. We're going to talk about Phoenix a little bit more toward the draft. There's a couple things I like to see Phoenix do. I talked about what Phoenix should do earlier in the season. So we will revisit that, because as the summer comes along, the news does dry up. Also, the Toronto Raptors, they brought back Dwayne Casey. They extended him, and he is coming back, which I believe that is good, because Toronto needs stability. They need some stability. You can't keep firing coaches every 2-3 years. You don't have stability at the head coaching position. The franchise cannot grow, to me. So I just want to talk about that little bit of brief NBA news. I'm going to take a pause, but when I come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the National Basketball Development League. I talked about that last week. If you missed it, please go back and listen to that. I talked about my proposal for what the NBA should do. As far as rookies, I'm also going to mention another proposal that came across my mind. So for the draft, the lottery. So you do not want to miss out on any of this stuff. Once again, the MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles, the double LP. The release date, July 7th, 2016. So please stay tuned. We're going to take a pause for a station identification, and I will be back with you shortly. Thank you for listening. The MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles, the double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Child. New release date, July 7th, 2016. Once again, Moonbase Chronicles. New release date, July 7th, 2016. Also, you can now download the MoonKast from SoundCloud. Please use the SoundCloud app. You can download that app from the Apple Store on your iPhones, iPads, and also go to the Google Play Store on your Android phones and tablets. Search for MoonKast, MoonKast. Once again, MoonKast. Search for it. The MoonKast, now available on SoundCloud. And now, back to the show. All right, I am back in business. The MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles, the double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Child. Release date, July 7th, 2016. Once again, release date has been pushed back 1 month. July 7th, 2016. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA draft, the lottery system, and the National Basketball Developmental League before I get into a few notes from the conference finals on the East and the West, and as well as the finals rematch. So, just picking back up where I left off, a couple of changes I like to see. I know there's a big issue with tanking in the NBA, where teams actually tank to get top picks. I know the draft lottery process is not televised. They televise the pick order, but they do not televise the ping pong balls and how they come out of the machine. They don't televise that part. I honestly would like to see that part televised. I would also like to see each team just get one ping pong ball, just one. And once that comes out, that's your pick, and you count down to the last pick. Now, this is what I would also like to see. If you get the top pick, let's say this year Philadelphia got the top pick. If you get the top pick one year, you cannot get the top pick the following year. So if a team tanks the second year, they cannot do any better than 2. So if you get the top pick one year, you can't get the top pick again the year after. So I would like to see that rule implemented, and that would keep teams from tanking every single year, because you just cannot get the top pick. So if that ping pong ball was left in the machine, you automatically exclude that. You take it out of the machine and you start it again. So I think that would make for a better show if you televise the ping pong balls coming out, and that would build up a lot of suspense. So that's really what I would like to see. So I would also like to see, if you have picked in the top 3 for 2 consecutive years, then you cannot get a top 3 pick in that third year. So let's say you get the number 1 pick and you get the number 3 pick the next year. So that third year, you can't be in the top 3, so you're kicked out to number 4. I believe this will prevent tanking. You don't have to have all these tournaments. I've heard of tournaments for the 8th seed. I've heard of playing for the top pick. You don't need to do all that crazy stuff. 1 ping pong ball per team. If you get the top pick one year, you can't get it the second year. So the third year, let's say you get the top pick and then you get the 4th pick. The third year, you can get the top pick again. So I know it sounds confusing, but stay with me here. If you get the number 1 pick one year, you can't get it the year right after that. But you can get it the third year. Once you get the third year, that counts as your top 3 picks right there in 3 years. That's going to kick you out of the top 3. So no top pick in consecutive years, no top 3 picks in 3 years. So that's my rule. So if a team has the worst record one year and they get it wouldn't even matter about having the worst record at that point, because the ping pong ball is going to determine that. So it wouldn't even matter how bad your record is. So that would have no meaning on it. Now, of course, if you make trades, that would be the only exception. If you make a trade and then that team falls in there, but it wasn't your original pick, that would be the only way that you could get that pick. So let's say you had the top pick one year and then you made a trade during that season and you got that team's pick. That would be the only way you could get the top pick again, if you made a trade and that team that you traded, that made the trade for, got the pick. So very confusing, but let's break it down again. You cannot get the top pick in consecutive years. You cannot get a top 3 pick in 3 years. The only exception is if you made a previous trade and that team landed in that spot. So that's the only way. So that kills all the tanking and all that stuff. That takes all the tanking out of it. So now that we have that covered, let's talk about the National Basketball Development League. I spoke about it last week in last week's MoonKast, or actually the week before, but I did speak about that. Currently, there are 22 teams. We're going to shorten it up. We're going to abbreviate it. There are 22 teams in the NBDL right now, so which is the National Basketball Developmental League. So we're going to just call it the NBDL. There are 22 teams there. So there are 8 teams who do not have their own team affiliated with the pro team, with the big boy team rather, and that's the New Orleans Pelicans, Milwaukee Bucks, Atlanta Hawks, Washington Wizards, Minnesota Timberwolves, Denver Nuggets, Portland Trailblazers, and the Los Angeles Clippers. So these teams, they do not have an affiliate squad. They don't have their own team, so they have players placed on other teams. I spoke about this last week. This was a fantastic article. I told you before, look up Chris Reichard. Look him up on Twitter. I spelled it out for you previously. Just hit rewind, go back, check that out. Look up his article. He talks about all the teams that do not have national basketball developmental team affiliates. And so this is what I was saying. For me, there are 450 NBA players on the professional level. I like to see 450 players on the development level, and this will keep players from having to go overseas and leave their family. They can stay right in the States, and you can basically draft and stash a player on your own team. And you could also, I just spoke about before, last week's show, you could open up a third round of the draft. The NBA draft has 60 players. It has 2 rounds. I would like to see a third round be opened up. In that third round, you don't have to televise that round. Just like the NFL, they don't televise their later rounds. So you can take players right out of high school and you can just stash them on your development team. Because as I spoke about before, I do love college basketball, but I'm not a diehard college basketball fan. I don't like the system that's in place. If you want to play basketball and that's all you want to do, then go play basketball. If you want to play basketball plus hit the books to acquire a skill, because I believe it's more important to focus on acquiring a skill. The education comes with that skill. If you go to college for an education and you don't have a skill, when you get out of school, you're still not going to have a job. So you want to go to college to acquire a skill, and while you're acquiring that skill, you're also getting your education. So when you come out, you have your internships, then you get your job. So the development league, that should be your internship. So they are actually using college in a way as an internship for basketball players. But all I am saying is, if the player is getting in and getting into a lot of trouble, and they can't keep their GPA up, or they have people taking the test for them, then you don't need to go to college for that. So I'd rather you just go to the development league, work on your skills. If you want to, the best way to build character, in my opinion, is to have rent due at the end of the month, and you got to figure out for yourself how you're going to make that rent. And I don't care about, oh, you're only 18, you're only 19. Figure it out. So that's how I look at it. I don't believe in protecting players from themselves or protecting people from themselves once you become a legalized adult. When you make mistakes, you have to learn from it. But that's a whole nother show. We can get into the judicial system, and that's a whole nother show, completely different from what I'm talking about today. So as I was saying, I like to see 30 development league teams, 15-man rosters. Even if you went 20, I mean, what difference does it make? You can go 20. So those kids don't have to go overseas and leave their family. What I don't like is how the European players can actually play against 30, 40-year-olds at 15. So by the time they're 19, a la Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, they already have the experience and know how to play against older competition. So when they come to the States, some of them are a little bit more seasoned and ready to play, as well as you can see, the United States is catching up to the European way of playing basketball by teaching players of all sizes how to dribble the ball. So that's pretty much my big rant. Like I said, I just want to see more teams over here in the United States. And so right now in Arizona, I reside in Phoenix. The Phoenix Suns actually purchased the Bakersfield Jam from the Los Angeles Lakers. And so the Phoenix has called the team the Northern Arizona Suns, and they're going to be based up in the I say Prescott. Local Arizonian people say Prescott in that area, which is about 2 hours north. So that's really what, for me, that's what I like to see. I want to see minor league basketball, and I would also like to see the minor leagues get a television deal. I actually spoke with Chris Reichert. He sent me a message saying that some games may be on ESPNU. You may see some local deals, but I want a fully televised deal for the NBDL, where you can see these guys develop and grow, and there may be a market, like let's say like a place in Arkansas, that may not have a pro team, but there are people in Arkansas who love basketball, still want to watch some basketball. Why not put a team there so they can see some basketball? So, having said that, that's pretty much my rant on the draft lottery, and that's just my extra addition. I wanted to add that to what I talked about last week. So, like I said, one ping pong ball per team. I would like to see just televise the whole thing. As the ball comes out, you can see. If not, you can still keep that part behind closed doors. But I would like to see each team get one ping pong ball. So it doesn't matter if you have 10 wins or if you have 30 wins. You still get one. So that team would not have a reason to tank. They would still push either to make the playoffs, or you would tank to not make the playoffs, but not tank as badly as not trying to win games. So nobody can sit here and say that there are teams who are not trying to win games. I know I can't say the players are not playing hard on their own, but there are different rotations that coaches can use to guarantee losing spots. So I would like to see one ping pong ball. Like I said before, if you get the top pick, you cannot get it the second year, and you cannot be in the top 3 for 3 years. So once you're in the top 3 for that second year, you're automatically bumped out for that third year, and then it starts over again for that team. So with all the advanced stats and analytics, there should be somebody out there that can keep up with who picked where. So we're in that analytical phase of basketball now. So having said that, I'm going to take a pause for a station identification, and I will be back with you shortly. Thank you for listening. The MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moon-Based Chronicles, the double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Child. New release date, July 7th, 2016. Once again, Moon-Based Chronicles, new release date, July 7th, 2016. Also, you can now download the MoonKast from SoundCloud. Please use the SoundCloud app. You can download that app from the Apple Store on your iPhones, iPads, and also go to the Google Play Store on your Android phones and tablets. Search for MoonKast, MoonKast. Once again, MoonKast. Search for it. The MoonKast, now available on SoundCloud. And now, back to the show. Once again, I am back. The MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moon-Based Chronicles, the double LP from Griffin G. Child. Release date is July 7th, 2016. Now, getting back to what I was talking about earlier, I mentioned I was going to talk a little bit about the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals, and then we're going to talk about my finals predictions. In the Eastern Conference Finals, the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Toronto Raptors in a 4-2, 4 wins to 2 losses. Toronto, this is the first time they've ever been to a conference finals. I didn't like some of the behavior from Kyle Lowry. I know a lot of people they understood him leaving the court to decompress or decompose or whatever. I really didn't care for that. I think you do all your decompressing and all that stuff during halftime. So he did that during the second quarter of a game. I don't believe you do that during the game. I think you just sit on the bench and then you get your mind right during halftime, because it was almost halftime anyway. I didn't like that at all. I think Toronto needs another star. They only have they have 2 All-Stars. I think Kyle Lowry, he may be too small to be your best player. I don't think he can be your best player. I do like Valanciunas. He's a big man that can score on the box. I I like DeMar DeRozan. But I feel like they need another player. They need a power forward, possibly, that could score 17 to 10. So I think that's who they need. They do have the 9th pick in the draft, so they have a great chance to draft a good player there who can come in, maybe even a small forward, but they need an extra player that could be an extra star for them. Now, as I mentioned before, Dwayne Casey, he got a contract extension, in which I said before, I do applaud that, because a franchise needs stability. You can't keep firing coaches because they don't get you where you want them to go, because you have to bring another coach in with a whole nother philosophy and a whole nother system, and that's just not going to work. So I'd like to see more stability with these coaches. They keep firing coaches and they're replacing them, and they just keep firing those that they bring in. So I don't really like that. I'd like for you to have a coach, stick with them, keep a system, and I think Toronto needs they need a small forward or a power forward that can come in and get 17 and 10. DeMar Carroll has been kind of banged up. He didn't shoot the ball well at all this year. I know he's been hurt. So he's a good player, but just too hurt this year. I like to see him get a power forward that can score with Valanciunas off the box. Now, of course, DeMar DeRozan is from Los Angeles. There's rumors that he may try to go home and go back to Los Angeles. I've heard Los Angeles, the Lakers, do not want him, but when the summer comes, you're going to hear a lot of different things. So, great season for Toronto. I look to see them bounce back and be back next year, but they need one more piece. I don't think they can beat LeBron the way they're constructed. So you need a team of superstars to beat LeBron. So now we're going to shift over. The very exciting Western Conference went 7 games. The Oklahoma City Thunder had a 3-1 lead, and they blew their 3-1 lead. I was very disappointed in Oklahoma City. I'm going to put this on Westbrook and Durant. They took a lot of forced shots, a lot of bad shots, and it cost them that series. Now, what I would like to say is I do like the rookie Cameron Payne, and I felt like a lot of coaches don't want to play rookies, and I don't really believe in that. I do feel like Kevin Durant should stay. If Kevin Durant does not stay, he needs to go to the Eastern Conference and team up with another star. Because if he just goes to Boston, or if he goes to, let's say, Washington, that's still not going to be enough to beat Cleveland. You can't beat Cleveland with that. That's not enough. So I'd like to see Kevin Durant go east, but he has to have another superstar there with him. If he goes to Boston and if he plays with Isaiah Thomas, that's still, it may be enough, but it may not be enough. Now, if Kevin Durant goes there, plus they add the 3rd pick, and that pick turns out to be a stud, I could see that. But just going to Boston, that's still not enough to beat LeBron, in my opinion. I think you need another star. Isaiah Thomas, he's a great player. I think he's a very good player, but he's just too small. And that's no disrespect. I'm only 6 foot, but in the NBA, to be great and to be small, it's kind of hard to help your team at that height when the playoff stakes are high. I think you can win with a player that small, but you have to have other players in other positions. So to me, Durant still may not be enough. He still just may not be enough. I think he should just stay in OKC, to be honest, stay with Westbrook. But I think Westbrook needs to play off the ball. He doesn't need to handle the ball all the time because he plays reckless. And I think if you can implement Cameron Payne to the lineup, you move Westbrook to the 2. You could play Dion Waiters or Roberson at the 3. You move Durant to the 4. Ibaka at the 5. Go Steven Adams at the 5. I mean, there's different things you could do. But I like to see Cameron Payne get more playing time and control tempo. Because the biggest key to me to beating Golden State is controlling tempo. So I understand they shoot a whole bunch of threes. But if you can slow the game down and control the tempo, even let's say they make 5 threes, and let's say you make 5 twos, you're down 15-10, so that's still not bad. As long as you can stay close to them and control the tempo, to me that is the biggest key to Golden State. OKC got away from what they did to go up 3-1. At the same token, it takes a lot of energy to beat Golden State. And you have to be really mentally tough, and you cannot make mistakes against Golden State at all. So they made a lot of mistakes. And once again, I just think Golden State is a team that is beautifully constructed. You got Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry, the 2 best shooters in history. So I believe that if you were to take one of those shooters off the team and place them on another team, Golden State can be beaten just like anybody else. You look at a guy like Reggie Miller back in the day, a guy like Glenn Rice. These are great shooters. Of course, they didn't have the handle. When you talk about great shooters, but only one great shooter. Of course, that Dale Curry, Stephen Curry's father, played with Glenn Rice, but you're talking about just one great shooter on one team. You're talking about 2 great shooters they both have handles. And so it is very hard to beat a team like this. I think you have to do your very best to control the tempo. Even if you make 10 twos and they make 10 threes, you're down 10. But as I said, control the tempo. That is the key. And so what's difficult is having that discipline. There's not a team probably right now, not even Cleveland, that is going to have that discipline to not jack up wild shots against his team. You have to be very disciplined. And so the saying is 3 is greater than 2, but I like to say 2 is better than 0. So I do not like to see guys standing around the 3-point line, and when they cannot get a 3, you get nothing out of your offense. So to me, that is a very poor way to play basketball. So I believe, as I talked about a month or so ago in previous MoonKast, the team that can shoot the 3 and shoot the mid-range game and mix it up, control tempo, that's the team that can beat Golden State. The team may not exist right now. Like I said, next year I look for OKC. If they keep everybody together. If Durant went to, let's say, San Antonio, that still may not be enough because it looks like Tony Parker's getting older. He can't really guard anybody. Patty Mills is best off the bench. So now let's say this: if the Spurs were to go out and get Mike Conley and Kevin Durant, now you're talking, because Mike Conley can control the tempo. So that is the key. You have to have very good point guard play. You have to control that tempo. That is very key. But I understand when Golden State's coming down raining threes, you're like, well, okay, we're down by 10. They're hitting threes. We need to come down and hit us a couple threes. So sometimes you don't have to hit the 3. Just get a bucket. Get a bucket. Get your rhythm. Then you take your 3. So that's kind of my philosophy. So now let's talk about the finals. I had picked Cavaliers to win in 6. It's looking like Warriors in 5. So we're going to go ahead and get into the NBA Finals. So this is going to be the last part of the MoonKast. So let's go ahead and get into the NBA Finals. Game 1, The Cleveland Cavaliers lost 104-89. The Golden State Warriors, they had like 6 players in double figures. They had 45 points off the bench. Usually doesn't happen. Stephen Curry, 11 points. Klay Thompson, 9 points. A lot of people are going to say that if they didn't play a good game and still won, the series is already over. That's one way to look at it. On the flip side, I do like Cleveland's strategy. Cleveland had a good strategy where they doubled Curry and they made him pass the ball. So Iguodala, Harrison Barnes, they made those guys beat you. So they did lose with the other guys stepping up. And I think, of course, a loss is a loss, but I think that is a good strategy. Sean Livingston had a phenomenal game with 20 points off the bench. And this is exactly what I was just saying. Sean Livingston can't really shoot the three-pointer that well, but he has the pull-up mid-range jumper. He has the turnaround fadeaway jumper, and he has the floater. So that's exactly what I was saying before. 3 is better than 2, but 2 is better than 0. So he plays within himself. He doesn't jack up wild threes. That's just what I was explaining to you. He doesn't do the wild, crazy stuff. He plays within himself. He shoots the shots that he's comfortable shooting, and therefore he thrives. So 20 points for Sean Livingston off the bench. Now this is the big whopper here. 38% field goal shooting for Cleveland. The big 3, LeBron James, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, 23 for 60. So you're not going to win a lot of games when your big 3 is 23 for 60. LeBron had effortless numbers, 23, 12, and 9. If Andre Iguodala got those numbers, he's Finals MVP. LeBron gets those numbers, it's a bad game, or it's an average game. So those are great numbers on paper, but they were like lackluster numbers. So there were a lot of layups missed, tons of layups missed by Kyrie, tons of layups missed by Kevin Love. Kevin Love did end up with 17 points. LeBron had 23, Kyrie 26. But I believe Kevin Love is one of the key players of the series. I believe he can score 30 points. He has a lot of good post moves. So he has moves on the box. And I'd like to see him just keep being aggressive, looking for a shot. I believe he can just be a guy that can score 30. I'm hoping that the Cavaliers can come back and win game 2. Like I said, I'm picking them to go in 6 right now. It's looking like Golden State Warriors in 5. Somebody off the bench has to step up. I like to see Richard Jefferson get more playing time, as well as James Jones. The Golden State Warriors are just too long. Matthew Dellavedova, nobody knew who he was last year. So, because he basically came out of nowhere. He was undrafted, and he actually made the summer league team for Cleveland before LeBron had even came back. And he's kind of a dirty player, chippy player like Patrick Beverley, but he's too small. He's too small. When they go with Sean Livingston, Livingston shoots over the top. Kyrie Irving's too small. Sean Livingston shoots over the top. So they're just too long for those little guys. And that's why I was saying in today's NBA, I'm not sure if a little guy could be your best player. I know Curry's 6'3". He can shoot the hell out of the ball. So he's kind of the exception to the rule. But guys that are like 6 foot, 5'10", 5'11", I don't think he'd be your best player if you don't have other players or other pieces around him. So once again, phenomenal game from Golden State. So there's 2 ways to look at it. You're going to look at it with Golden State. Curry and Thompson didn't play well, and they still beat Cleveland. The game was actually pretty close going into the 4th. It was like an 8-point lead, so then just got away from Cleveland because they blew so many layups. It was ridiculous. They blew a lot of layups. There was a low blow play where Matthew Dellavedova kind of hit Andre Iguodala in the growing area, and Iguodala came back and hit a bunch of shots after that. So Cleveland has to win a game in Golden State. I think if they go down 2-0, there still might be a little bit of hope. Cleveland would have to go for the gentleman's sweep, try to win one game at home for the fans. But I don't see Cleveland coming back from 3-1. I don't think they could come back from not a 3-1. 3-2 is a possibility, but you're not coming back from 3-1. They don't have the firepower. Channing Frye, didn't really see a lot of him. Like I said, I think Richard Jefferson needs to step up and play more because he is longer. And that goes back to the Scottie Pippen effect I spoke about a while ago. So I'd like to see Richard Jefferson play more. So, James Jones may have to play some more as well. So, I understand them stretching the floor, shooting threes, but you need that mid-range game. You got to have it. They missed a lot of layups, so you can't stand out there and shoot all these threes and then drive to the basket and miss the layup. You got to make those layups. So, Kyrie Irving, I believe he was like 7 for 22. LeBron didn't shoot. The guys didn't shoot well. So you can't win like that. You can't win shooting 38%. So I'm going to hold out hope. I'm hoping that the Cavaliers go back to the drawing board for Game 2, which is going to be Sunday night. And I like the defensive strategy. I like the strategy of double teaming Curry and making him get rid of the ball because he doesn't force his shots like a lot of players. So I do like the double teaming of Curry. I will continue to do that. But I guess Richard Jefferson needs to get more playing time, and they gotta make layups. So J.R. Smith didn't do anything at all. I know he hurt his hand. He got fluid burn on his hand. He didn't do anything at all. But he can't just sit there and try to shoot a three. You can't do that. You can't just stand out there. If they don't give you the three, then you don't give them anything. That's not going to work. You got to get off that 3-point line, drive, pull up. That's all Sean Livingston did. Sean Livingston knows he cannot shoot the three, but yet he's able to drive and pull up and take his little comfortable 10-foot jumper. So I don't understand that. I'd also like to see Timothy Mozgov get some burn. He needs to play. I know Tristan's a better defender, but you have to get some points around the basket. You got to mix it up. So, having said that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this finals edition of the show. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Once again, the MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moon-Based Chronicles, the double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Chow, release date July 7th, 2016. So, now there may be some songs that get released before July 7th. So I will keep you posted on where to go and get those songs. But I'm going to hold firm on my July 7th release for right now. So once again, I want to thank you all for listening. On the next show, we're going to do a finals recap. If the finals is over, we're going to recap it. If it's still going, we're going to talk about it at that time. We're going to start getting ready for the NBA draft. So this is going to be a very important time. So I'm still researching and studying all my rookies right now. I'm going over all the rookies, and I'm going over all the rookies' strengths and weaknesses. So just bear with me on that. Like I said, I'm still working on it. I'm doing all my due diligence and all of my homework. So we're going to talk about the rookies that are coming into the NBA after the NBA draft. There will be some summer league basketball. So, and there's also free agency news, and you'll hear some trade news. You'll hear a lot of that, all that fantastic fun stuff. So the summer, it does die down for a little while. So the news may be sparse. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be recapping the best of the MoonKast. So I'm going to be bringing up certain topics and things I spoke about in the past season. You're going to hear some of those things again. I also have a special that's going to be coming up. I'm going to be talking about the alpha male basketball player, and I'm also going to be talking about leaders of the Wolfpack players. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, and I'm also putting some ideas together for the Stephen Curry effect. I'm not going to go all the way in on him like the Scottie Pippen effect, but I'm working on the Stephen Curry effect. So I'm going to be talking about some things with Stephen Curry coming up in the future. So just want to thank you for listening. Please stay tuned. Like I said, it could be June 15th. I don't have the exact date on that, but stay tuned. Just once again, the MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles. So July 7th is the new release day. I need one more month to tweak the album and peak the album and make the album sound sweet. So one more month. But I want to thank you for listening, and I am signing off. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Moonbase Radio.